Hey everyone, welcome to Watch It Paint It. In this video or series of videos, I will finally get to talk to you about paintbrushes, sort of reviewing them a little bit. Sorry it took so long. There's just a lot of paintbrushes to look at, and I like to use them for as long as I can and actually get a valuable opinion. I don't like to use a product once and knock out a review. I want to use it over and over and over and see how long it lasts and how it feels after the first time, and hopefully get some weight and value behind my opinion. The other thing is just working out that format, so I'm going to go for independent reviews. They might compare a little bit between them, but because everyone's different, everyone uses brushes differently, and all the brushes work and feel and are better for different things, I just think I'll talk about each brand and each type of brush independently, maybe compare to a brand that's similar and which I think is better, etc, etc. And then the other thing, frankly, there's so many brushes. I feel like I've got a lot of brushes, and this is nothing, right? This is 0.1%, if that, of the amount of brushes available out there. It took me a while to work out. I cannot tell you what the best brush is. All I can tell you is what I like about each brush, and you guys decide which ones you want to try out. So we'll get on to doing some reviews. Right, let's get this series started with where I started, and that is the Army Painter's Most Wanted brush set. Now, this set is the first set of brushes I ever picked up. I read quite a few reviews, etc, and worked out that I think this is where I should start as a beginner myself. And you know what, guys? In 3 years, my opinion of that statement has not changed. I think this is the single best set for beginners that I have, single best brushes. Now I'll tell you why that is, and it gives you 3 brushes, and these are basically the only 3 you need when you very first start painting. And above and beyond that, I just love the naming. Small dry brush, what do you think that's for? Dry brushing. Insane detail, what do you think that's for? The insane detail. Regiment, what do you think that's for? That one I'll give you is a little bit more ambiguous, and if you imagine a regiment, an entire army, it's for painting an entire army, and it is the workhorse brush. You will use this for 90% of the work, and then these two coming out for the rest. So why else is this good for beginners? It's £12, under £12 in the UK. What's that? $15 in the States. Now, that isn't the cheapest brushes in the world, but that's also not very expensive. They go massively up from there, and I would just skip, if you're a beginner painter, using the cheapest brushes. They're not going to do any favors and it might put you off the hobby. Spend $15, pick up these, and you're going to be off to a much better start. And that's it as far as I love them for the beginners brushes. We'll talk about other brushes as this series moves along, but this is where I started. I still to this day recommend, when people are picking up this hobby, pick up this set, see how you get on, and we'll go from there as these wear out. Let's talk about these 3 brushes in this particular set. Now that you get the insane detail brush, as I mentioned, that's for very small details, sorts of eyes. I paint ropes on my miniatures using that. Just small things. This recommends facial tattoos, things like that. With Zombicide, those models, they're a lot smaller than like Warhammer and stuff, so I actually use this brush a lot more than I want to. I sort of just have to if I want the detail. Then they've got the Regiment brush. It's the most versatile brush, and they're right. These are both sable hair brushes, which I don't know if that's common knowledge. I didn't realize that. Now, they're not Kolinsky sable hair, they're Rothmarder. I don't know what the difference is, but I'm guessing that's not quite as high a quality. But nevertheless, with it being sable hair, they keep that really fine point. It works really well, and you do get the detail using this. So as well as this being quite large, it has a fine point, so you can paint a large surface area, but also do those detailed work when you need to. But if it goes insane, you bust out the insane detail brush. And then the third one's just a small dry brush. It doesn't mention this is Kolinsky, so I think it might be synthetic. I'm not entirely sure, but it does the job. It does what you need a dry brush to do, and they say it's at the perfect 43-degree angle for dry brushing. What? I don't know, but that's what they say. And this brush works. I've used it for a long time. It's out of commission more or less now, but it lasted a long time. So as I've mentioned, I wanted to use brushes for a long time to get a really decent opinion of these. I used these brushes before they're not even all dead yet, but I used them for 2 years solidly. These were the only brushes. No, I say that, I tell a lie, they're not the only brushes. Within a month or 2, I realized I liked painting, so I was going to carry on. And the only issue with this set is the Insane Detail and Regiment Brush are miles apart, so I did fairly quickly pick up and see how much I've used it. It's worn off, but this is just the detail brush, and I find for Zombicide and that such work that this was very, very handy. Let's just while I'm mentioning or looking at the tip of that detail brush, let's just have a quick peep at them. So you'll see the dry brush at this 43-degree angle. It's fairly soft. That doesn't last long once it gets some gunk in it, but nice soft strokes, feels lovely. The Insane Detail brush, quick lick, but you can see that's a solid point on it, and it's just teeny tiny. There's nothing to it. They do actually have a smaller one, the Psycho, which I've never picked up. Be interesting to see. And then you can see with the Regiment Brush, as I was talking about, it has a very fine point, but it's also quite a big brush, so you can get quite a lot of paint on it. While I'm holding these, and it's a good point to mention, another reason I love these brushes, and this goes beyond them being a beginner, I wish more brands did this, is this triangular grip. Now, because I started with these brushes, I knew no better. This is what I thought all brushes were like, and I just took it for granted. You know, fantastic, feels nice. I've since started branching out and using other brushes, and I didn't notice until I held another brush that a round brush is horrendous. Like, you quickly get reused to it, but after 2 years of using this, I felt like I shouldn't have to. That is just, it's so much more comfortable. And if you're painting for many, many hours like we do, it makes a difference. Just holding a nicer fitting brush for that large period of time is good. So another reason to pick these up to begin with. Let's have a look at how my brush is doing. As I mentioned, I wanted to be able to use brushes for a long time before I did these reviews. So here is my original set. Let's see how we're getting on. So you can see the dry brush. It doesn't always get used, but it's been used a lot. And that's just, it's too inaccurate for me now. Now, if it's a large model, don't get me wrong, I still use that. It's just, it is a small dry brush, and I'd like it to be a bit more accurate. That's probably me wearing it. You can hear that's a lot, it's not as soft anymore. It's taking some beats. I still use it. It's on its way out, I'd say. Then we've got the Insane Detail brush from the original set, and that's pretty much as sharp as it ever was. You know, I haven't used it a ton, but enough to wear out a lot of the writing. Still going well. So that's 3 years now. And then I would say I killed this after 2 years. Don't know if you can see, but that has not got much of a point left. And this is after I've shaped it. Let's just imagine I've been brushing for a minute. It's out there. But that's 2 years. That's not bad, right? You can see the hammer. So I still use this brush. This is now my mixing brush, or if I don't care. And I actually think I killed it by accidentally painting over wet super glue. And I think that's what destroyed my tip, because I had to sort of pick the super glue off, and probably wasn't the best treatments of it. Anyway, guys, that is my Army Painter Most Wanted sort of chit chat about that. As I said, I think it's going to remain my most recommended for beginner painters. Do hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, because I'm going to talk about more brushes, and I'll probably start comparing them to this, and maybe why I might move on to that once I've taken up the hobby, that sort of thing. But for me, absolutely love this pack of paint brushes, and to this day, well, if you watch the channel, you see that I still use these brushes on occasion when there's a need for that particular thing. Like if you're painting for 6 hours straight, the triangle grip makes that slight bit of difference. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Hey everyone, welcome to Cough It, Paint It. Is nice and simple, and you'll see now, even when I'm not using Army Painter's brushes anymore on my tutorials, and I've not pressed record this whole freaking time,